Hey guys, we're back with the next episode of Sryth. And last time we were gathering up powers, gathering up skills. And so the skill I want to do right now, or the thing I want to do right now is get to be able to join the Great Circle so I can power learn more moves. And so to do that, what I want to do is go to do the Stoneback Hill quest because that'll give me access to the Great Circle. So that is in Sryth. The only thing I did while I was offline was do go to the blue door here and do my quick stone daily experience, and that got me like 300,000. It doesn't give you more from that since I haven't done anything else. It's not going to give me any more, but you would come back here every day to get like a bonus, a percentage of the experience that you got the day before. So let's see, just come on and do that every day if you're playing every day. So that was right after the day after we did the videos. So right now we're gonna go to Sryth. Let's see here, Sryth. That's gonna be Western, right? It's Western Tisa, yes. Here we go. So I'm going in Sryth. I'm gonna go ahead and save since it's been a while. And then what you do is you do adventures for this location. Yeah. So the secret Stoneback Hill is the one I want to do. When official summons come from Thane Pyrod, it is delivered to you by courier. You're surprised to discover that your presence is immediately requested by Trend Keep, where the Thane himself wishes to speak to you on a matter of great importance. So once we do this quest, we can get access to the Great Circle, which will let us learn magic abilities. So we're still on the quest to get all the powers and all the skills. So that's what this is about. Yeah, we read that. After a brief visit to the local bathhouse where you wash away the grime of the city, you make your way through the eastern city of Sryth to Train Keep, the stronghold headquarters of the Tisa's most powerful and influential Thane. So we're wondering what a Thane is. There's five Thanedoms or kingdoms in Tisa. So the kingdom of Tisa is divided into five Thanedoms, each presided over by a Thane. Each Thane has been granted authority under the crown so that they may impose and uphold law and order in the kingdom on a local level. The title of Thane in Tisa is not an inherited one. Only the king of Tisa may grant the title of Thane. Oh my gosh, move to someone who may at any time revoke it, as has been the case several times. Most Thanes will retain their title and privileged rank as long as they do not fall out of favor with the king or any of its influential allies. So it's really a favoritism game, as you can see. So it's not voted upon, as it is a monarchy. The monarchy just decides you're in charge of this part of the kingdom. So we're here at the most powerful Thane who lives in Sryth. So upon arrival, you are immediately escorted to Thane's Pyrod's private chamber, where he welcomes you with a broad smile and meets you with a shoulder cross. Thane Pyrod's smile quickly fades and his demeanor becomes more rigid as he carefully explains what has led him to summon you to this meeting. I must be forward with my request, says Thane Pyrod, for I am not afforded the luxury of time in dealing with matters like the one at hand. I need the services of someone I can depend on, someone I can trust, Allison, and it should be plain that someone of whom I speak is you. The Thane is silent for a few moments as if carefully contemplating what he's going to say next. Your accomplishments and reputation precede you, Allison. I've seen many eyes and ears about the city and indeed throughout the kingdom, and what has been made known to me about you is most impressive. I seek to have your services at my disposal, for a situation has arisen that must be tended to at once. I would be most grateful if you would agree to hear me out this day. Curious as to what the Thane might be referring to, you cordially agree to hear what he has to say. And move on. Thane Pyrod tells you that he has received several reports in recent weeks about the bandits ambushing travelers on several of the forest roads north of the city. Mind you that such things are not unheard of in these parts, he says rather wryly. He's received several reports in recent weeks. Sorry, I was reading without thinking. About bandits ambushing travelers. Okay, mind you that such things are not unheard of in these parts. Yes, he says rather wryly. But the frequency of these attacks has increased of late, and the perpetrators appear to be well trained and growing bolder with each attack. The Thane explains that his knowledge No one has yet been killed in these ambushes, but that much valuable cargo has been stolen, and several of the victims have been battered quite severely. These attacks have all occurred within the same general area, on the three main roads that cut through the forest north of the city. There is something that all the three of these roads have in common, though. Thane pyroid, thyroid, oh my gosh. Escorts you over to the long table near the window and stabs your finger into the middle of the sprawled map. You lean in close to the words written on the map just above his finger. Stoneback Hill. Let's see a little bit about Stoneback. Originally named after the spider of the same name. What? Stoneback Hill has a rich and somewhat tragic history. Long considered cursed, Stoneback Hill, rising out of the forest north of the city of Sryth, has been avoided by locals and travelers alike for over 3 centuries. Local folklore has it that anyone foolish enough to set foot in the hill will carry away a part of the curse with them, a curse that will ultimately result in an unimaginably hideous death. Centuries ago, before the area was considered cursed, a monastery in honor of Sryth, the All-Father, was built in the base of Stoneback Hill. The monks who built the monastery claimed that the hill was holy land and decreed that the hill's summit would serve as a final resting place for the faithful. The monastery, known as Stoneback Monastery, became a place frequently by travelers throughout that part of Tisa. For the Blue Robe monks who dwelled therein were most hospitable to the road-worn who arrived at their door. However, the monastery was not without its oddities. Wow. Indeed. Journals kept by the monks reveal that over 2 centuries that the monastery stood at the base of Stoneback Hill. Monks and travelers alike had often witnessed strange, eerie things on the hill and in the forest around it. Local folklore declared that the dead risen out of the graves atop Stoneback Hill roamed the woods around the monastery at night looking for victims. The locals often joked, making sport of the monks' legendary hospitality, saying that should the roaming dead knock on the monastery door, that would be treated to a hot supper and a warm bed. The roaming dead got a hot supper and a warm bread? Wow. The local folklore grew into what was jokingly referred to as the curse of Stoneback Hill. Then, on a cold winter autumn night, over 3 centuries ago, the monks that inhabited the monastery at the base of Stoneback Hill simply disappeared. The monks disappeared. According to the records later found the monastery, there were 24 monks inhabiting it at the time. Not one of the 24 was ever found, and their disappearance could never be immediately explained. Days later, however, a traveler arrived at Sryth and told a harrowing tale of a night that he had recently spent in the monastery. He told of a ghoulish legion, or what he referred to as the awoken dead, that assailed the monastery in the middle of the night. He claimed that he barely escaped the attack with his life, and that many of the monks had either been killed or fled wildly into the dark forest. A word spread of the traveler's account. The curse of Stoneback Hill, which had been little more than entertaining local folklore, suddenly took on a new, more profound and sinister meaning. Upon learning the tragic and mysterious events that had taken place in the forest north of Sryth, the king of Tisa set a group of 6 border rangers to navigate the hill and the surrounding area. They never returned. With the disappearance of the border rangers, the king of Tisa demanded that the monastery be torn down, and he promptly decreed that it was unlawful for any to tread upon the ground where the monastery formerly stood. Furthermore, treading on the cursed hill itself would now become a crime punishable by death. So, I mean, if you die there anyway, would it really stop anybody? So the monastery was razed to the ground, and in the minds of everyone, Stoneback Hill became a dark, terrifying place that was to be avoided at all costs. The king had also decreed that the stone wall was to be built in the forest circling both the hill and the remaining monastery to serve as a warning to those that might unwittingly stray too near the cursed ground. The wall made of the stones that were found about the forest stood about highest height and proved to be a massive endeavor taking many years to complete. The wall still stands to this day as an ever-present ominous reminder of what lies in the forest beyond it. The wall is still maintained to this day and is known as, you might expect, a Stoneback Wall. The law which punishes any who would dare trespass on the hill with death still stands to this day, although it has never been tested. Nobody is known to have ever dared set foot in the cursed hill since. These days, the curse of Stoneback Hill remains very real to many in the kingdom, and especially the citizens of Sryth and its outlying areas. A few mossy stoneback blocks still block off visible off the wood near the spot where Stag Run Road meets the Old North Road, or all that remains of the monastery. A stone monument in tribute to the monks of Stoneback Monastery still stand at that very spot. A cautionary verse inscribed at the base of the monument still warns travelers that to stray into the coastal ground of Stoneback Hills to do so under the penalty of death, or you just die there. So do you really have to worry about it? Alright, he wants us to go to a cursed ground nobody's ever been since 6 rangers went and they all disappeared. Oh, how nice for me. It's because I'm not really that famous yet. And you're like, she won't be missed. You step back from the map and bring your eyes to meet the Thane's stern gaze. He nods knowingly as he twice again stabs at the spot on the map with his finger. Stoneback Hill, he says, shaking his head. There hasn't been anyone who willingly tread on this cursed ground for 3 centuries, and yet what would have make a better place of highwaymen to base their raids than that which few, if any, would dare venture into? Then Pyrod explains that he believes the ambush that had been taking place on the travellers on the north road north of Sryth are the work of a group of bandits hiding out on Stoneback Hill. To send any of my own men to that place would be folly, he says. I don't believe in the curse of Stoneback Hill any more than the robbers who have likely made their encampment on that very spot. Yet I cannot afford to alarm the already edgy citizenry of the city and hear about the news of my men treading on ground forbidden by law and legend. My stand on this side of law and order in Sryth must be unwavering, for it is that unfaltering stand that grants strength to my cause against the lawless in this city. The Thane taps his fingers on the spot on the map where Stoneback Hill lies and looks directly at you. That's where you enter into this, Allison, he says. Thane Pyrod again explains that he is loath to send any of his own men to the area of Stoneback Hill for fear of upsetting the citizenry of Sryth, whom he says by and large believe very strongly in the curse. He then asks that you suspected he asked you to undertake the journey to Stoneback Hill, and discover indeed his suspicions are true. He tells you that once you have investigated the hill and made a report to him, he will have a determined course of action. Can I count on you for this, Allison? He asks. With just a flutter of trepidation in the pit of your stomach, you swiftly meet the Thane in a shoulder cross and assure him that you are honoured to undertake the mission. That's what adventurers are for. I'm honoured. Thane Pyrod explains that your first duty in the mission will be to go to Stoneback Hill and determine if indeed the highwaymen or robbing travellers are in the forest roads or using as a base of operations. He tells you that while he does not know for certain, he believes that the bandits may be hiding in the cemetery at the summit of Stoneback Hill. You must report back to me at once with your findings, he said. And Allison, you must not let anyone else know of this mission. You assure the Thane that it will remain a confidential matter. After bidding him farewell, you immediately set out on the first leg of your mission and make your way along one of the forest roads north of the city toward Stoneback Hill. You follow the road known as Old North Road as it winds its way through the thick forest north of Sryth. After nearly a 2-hour hike along the road, with no sign of any other travelers, you reach the spot where the Old North Road is joined from the east by a wider, more well-travelled Stag Run Road. Where the 2 roads meet, set back several feet from the side of the road, stands a large stone monument honouring the monks of Stoneback Monastery who disappeared in the vicinity of this very spot over 3 centuries ago. 3 centuries ago? Wow. The monument depicts a monk piously kneeling in prayer. Your eyes are drawn to the warning inscribed on the base of the monument and pronounced the sentence of death will be carried against anyone who dares tread on the cursed ground several dozen yards into the woods. Beyond the monument, you make out the Stoneback wall, the perimeter of the cursed ground of Stoneback Hill. You wait on the side of the road for several minutes, carefully observing the immediate area, and when you feel confident that you are alone, you quickly slip into the forest. You rapidly cover the stretch of woods beyond the monument, and within a minute of leaving the roadside, you have reached the wall. You take one look at the road behind you before stepping over the wall and onto the forbidden ground of the Stoneback Hill. We're here. You stand in the thick of the wood only a few yards beyond Stoneback Wall. To the north, Stoneback Hill rises up sharply, its slope covered with a thick growth of the forest. The forest is eerily quiet, and you become conscious of the fact that your very footfall is likely betraying your passing to anyone within earshot. You must decide how you would like to proceed. Let's hit the hill. The steep, thickly widening slope of the Stoneback Hill does not appear to offer any easy ascent. However, you recall the monks of Stoneback Monastery use the road that winds its way up the hill to the cemetery they built on the summit. You realize that the bandits are indeed hiding out on the hill. They may be making use of the road. Even if they're not using it, it seems likely they'll be watching it closely. Still, the idea of finding a way to the summit of the hill by the way of the road seems somewhat more inviting prospect than travelling up a steep hillside. Just go up the hillside. Having decided the direct approach via road will leave you exposed and vulnerable, you opt to climb the steep, thickly wooded hill itself, and the terrain may be a bit more treacherous, but take comfort in knowing that your climb will largely be under the cover of the forest. Take one last look, and before moving forward, you begin the arduous ascent. Stoneback Hill is quite steep in places, and at nearly every turn you find yourself confronted with a tangled thicket of laurel and bramble, or patch of loose earth that give way underfoot without warning. After climbing half an hour, you're bathed in sweat, and you decide to sit and rest for a moment in the trunk of a fallen conifer. You barely had time to wipe the beads of sweat off your brow when you suddenly notice a dark shape set into the hillside through the trees to your left. You move over to the investigation and surprised to find that the dark shape is actually the mouth of the cave. The ground after the cave is opening has been swept free of forest debris. Let's take a look. The cave is narrow, but it extends back to the hillside for quite some distance. It becomes immediately apparent that someone has made this place their home. A pile of tattered animal skins lies in one corner, and several earthenware jugs are lined against the wall. The walls are covered with crude drawings of various false creatures. Suddenly you get the feeling you're not alone here. It's almost like you're being watched by a pair of unseen eyes. Divination! You sense that something evil lurks in this cave, and at this very moment is watching your every move and is waiting for opportunity to strike. Now, let's search. You rummage through your collection of things stored in the cave, but discover nothing that would be of any value. And as you're about to abandon your search, your eyes fall upon a small iron box tucked away in the shadowy corner of a cave, carefully covered by a slab of stone. Taking less than 3 strides in the direction of this discovery, and a sharp pain shoots through your back. Who's my enemy? It's a goblin. It's a vicious cave goblin. The face of a horrible humanoid is drawn into a hideous sneer, revealing a row of sharp decaying teeth. The stone tip of the goblin's wooden spear is still dripping with your blood. How dare you attack me? Quick combat. Death to the heathen. Yes, he's dead. Search the body of the dead cave to find him and discover the following. You can keep this stuff. After taking a quick look around, you make sure no other goblins lurking about. You move to examine the small iron box you spotted behind the slab of stone. 21 gold and shiny gold rings. Much you're surprised, the box contains not only a fair amount of gold, but also 2 shiny golden rings. Apparently these are the cave goblin's most prized possessions. Once you're satisfied, I mean, can't let goblins live, can we? Have too much junk on me. Powers. What's divination say? Make progress. Oddly enough, the path seems to head towards the summit in both directions. When you stumble upon an almost overgrown stony footpath on the steep forest slope, I mean, always go left first. You've been following the path for several minutes when you come upon sounds of a fairly recent struggle. A handful of weapons and several scraps of bloodstained clothing lie scattered on the ground. You rummage the item and discover the following. I'll take the chain and keep the rest of this. When you're satisfied you have not overlooked anything of importance, you continue along the path towards the summit. The path eventually leads directly to the summit, and you soon find yourself standing on the edge of a graveyard atop of Stoneback Hill. A crumbling wall of stacked stone runs along the perimeter of the hilltop, encircling the old cemetery. At first glance, the graveyard top Stoneback Hill is apparently recognizable. Such trees and tall grasses have grown up amidst the headstone and monuments, all but concealing them from view. Through the trees on the far side of the overgrown graveyard, you make your way to the stone wall of the small but above the ground tomb. You feel slightly uneasy in the eerie silence that seems to hang over this place. Well, we gotta go. When you reach the tomb, you find the weighty stone door has been pulled open and stands ajar. Cautiously, you step to the narrow opening and enter a dim, musty interior. It is obvious upon first glance that the small tomb has been quite recently used for shelter, several for blankets. Okay. Is it another goblin? On the 4 walls set in the broad alcove is an elaborate stone sarcophagus. The lid has been pulled off and the sarcophagus lies in 3 pieces on the floor. It would appear that whatever utilized him for shelter has desecrated it. Let's see. You know, if we peer into the opening of the sarcophagus, have expected to see a grim stare of a long entombed cadaver. However, to your surprise, the sarcophagus is empty. Puzzled over the odd discovery, you make your way out of the tomb and set about exploring the rest of the graveyard. You make your way off through the overgrown graveyard, winding in and out of the headstones and cracked stone monument to poke amidst the trees and tall grass. As you come out over the back of a small rise, you freeze in your tracks as your eye fall upon a grim scene. Much of the tall grass has been cut back in parts of the graveyard, revealing several dozen unearthed graves. Whole piles of dirt sit on the edge of each grave. In near one of the mounds lies two shovels. You crouch at the base of a leaning maple as you carefully survey the scene. For several minutes you watch and wait, but you see nothing that leads you to believe that whoever's been digging his grave is anywhere at hand. After taking a deep breath, you move into the midst of the unearthed graves, making your way to the spot where the two shovels lie. You peer down into the open graves that you pass, noting that in every case the coffin lying at the bottom has been opened and overturned. It appears that the robbers who set about this task are and were determined to pillage every last grave atop Stoneback Hill. However, when you arrive at the open grave next to which lie the two shovels, an entirely different scene greets you. The hole that has been dug inside of the grave is over 10 feet deep, and at the bottom of it you can discern a narrow set of stone steps descending into the darkness. A foul odor rises out of the shadow below, almost causing you to retch. There's no mistaking the overwhelming smell that is a stench of death and decay. I mean, we gotta go down there, don't we? An uneasy feeling comes over you as you stand over the edge of the dark opening. You suddenly feel as if you should move away from this place at once. You've taken several steps back from the edge when your heel comes down on something hard and sharp. Stifling a cry of pain, you reach down and pull the object from beneath your foot. In your hand, you hold a sharp tip of a long, curved black claw. The claw is unlike that of any animal you know, and you wisely decide to hold on to it. Okay. You must decide your next course of action. You weigh in your mind the option of returning with the news you discovered a thing, Pyrrhot against exploring the set of steps descending into the darkness. An easy feeling that came over you while you stood at the edge of the grave has returned with a vengeance. The desire to turn and flee from the grave is almost overwhelming. As you struggle to maintain a grip on your emotions, a scuffling sound rises up from the open grave, and a gloved hand reaches over the edge. The concealed fingers pull desperately on the loose dirt. "Help me!" gasps the ragged voice of an unseen climber. I mean, gotta help him. You rush over to the side of the open grave and peer down into the hole. A man in a leather tunic, his back firmly wedged against the side of the hole, is desperately clawing at the ground around the edge of the grave with his gloved hand. It appears he is close to losing his grip and falling back into the grave. You lean down and shoot your hand out for him to grab. Horror overcomes you. The man grips your hand tightly and then tugs violently, obviously attempts to pull you into the grave. Oh, he's evil, undead. Man. You stagger painfully to your feet and look through the opening above. The man who pulled you in is still wedged placed several feet overhead, but he snarls as he drops down into the grave and comes to stand face to face with you. Horrified by what confronts you, the man's face is sunken and pale, and where his eyes once rested set a pair of empty sockets. The edges crusted with dry blood. You're staring at the face of the dead. The ghoulish figure draws a sharp hand axe and brandishing it menacingly. The sound of scuffling feet from the stairs below suddenly catches your ears. Attack. Death to the heathen. He crumbles to the ground as the sound of many feet in the stone steps draws clearer. It seems as if a half a dozen of these stand my ground. 8 gruesome cadavers. In a matter of seconds, 8 gruesome cadavers, much like the one you've just dispatched, emerge from the shadow of the stone stairs. Their pale, eyeless faces turn in your direction. One of them, a face, neck, barely hideous deep gashes, snarled viciously as one unholy wave of undead surges forward and attacks. We under attack. I'll take the bracelet. Keep your axe. The stench of decay for the slain undead is almost more than you can bear. The twisting corpses oozing thick streams of black blood covered nearly the entire bottom of the grave, and when your arm crooks over your nose to ward off the foul odor, you quickly search the remains and discover the following. They quickly decide that you should at once return to tell Thane Pyrrhot what you discover. With that in mind, you make an arduous climb underneath the graveyard. As you make your way back down Stoneback Hill, you mind pores over the details of what you've discovered. It appears that whoever recently occupied the forbidden ground has also set about robbing the graves of the ancient cemetery. It also seems that the last attempt at pilfering from the dead unearthed something that they were not prepared to deal with. You find your thoughts continually drawn back to a set of narrow stone steps descending into the darkness at the bottom of the grave. You wonder why they were there and where they might lead. Yes, we gotta see where they go. The trek at the bottom of Stoneback Hill to Stoneback Wall, which is circled the base, takes over an hour. You dare not tarry on the descent, both because what you witness of the old graveyard and your desire to form Thane Pyrrhot what you discover. It is there in dusk when you ride back in Sryth and you hurry to reach Trin Keep before the citywide curfew goes into effect for the night. When you arrive at your destination, you are at once escorted to Thane's private chamber. Upon seeing your condition as you enter the chamber, Thane Pyrrhot immediately calls for one of the healers in his service who dutifully attends to your wounds. Thane Pyrrhot listens intently as you relate to him the events of the journey to the summit of Stoneback Hill, and you found an old graveyard there. And as you describe the open graves in Walking Dead that you encounter, his eyes widen and he shakes his head in disbelief. The Thane asks you again to recount the details of the undead you encountered and asks to see a piece of the black hole you discover. When he says he calls forward his advisor, a man named Trungar. Trungar knows of our business in Stoneback Hill, said Thane, his tone reassuring. He can be trusted to secrecy in this matter. He's also a warrior of great skill who has faced much of what there is to face in the wilds of this world and lived to tell of it. I'm most eager for his opinion on what you've discovered thus far. Trungar, a broad-shouldered, rugged-looking individual, arrives mere moments after having been summoned. He bows deeply before Thane and acknowledges you with a solemn nod. Thane Pyrod hands a piece of the black claw to Trungar, who begins to give his advisor a brief but thorough accounting of discoveries and encounters in Stoneback Hill. After having examined a claw for only a few minutes, Trungar hands it to Thane Pyrod. In a wavering voice, he tells both you and Thane that the claw is that of a Voran Thol. Well, you gotta read about what a Voran Thol is. Jeez. Voran Thol. Of all the nightmarish denizens of the undead world, the Voran Thol is among the most feared. This powerful malevolent ghoul is an embodiment of the vengeful spirit of long-dead Voranthan, who was entombed alive in a specially constructed tomb as punishment of his extreme vile nature of his crimes. So twisted with hatred and utterly bent on vengeance against their prosecutors were these entombed Vorathan, that they all at last expired alone the darkness of the tombs. Their forsaken souls were held into the shadowy depths of the Naverners. It is believed that spirits of many of these entombed Voranthan were able to return to the world of Sryth and reunite with the deceased physical form through the use of the shadow path. Therefore, it is often assumed that there is a Voran Thol is found a shadow path is likely not far away. No, not another shadow path. It should be known that Voran Thol will. That's probably why they call me, because I did at the other monastery. I closed that shadow path. May vary in their appearance and may be either male or female, though they will likely have the form of a rotting corpse, often garbed in long, flowing black robes, the garb of a criminal in ancient Voranthan society. The fingertips of all Voran Thol are set with long curved black claws, which will use very effectively as weapons. I'm trying to find out where it was. These powerful undead medicine exert a strong control over other lesser undead, and they use this control to protect their lair, usually their tomb. One should expect to find any number of horrifying undead stalking about the lair of Voran Thol. Normally, a Voran Thol will seek to leave its lair, and indeed has no knowledge of the world. Will not seek to leave its lair, and indeed has no knowledge of the world it has returned to, despite the strong desire for vengeance that drove it here. Instead, these horrific undead choose to dwell in their lairs again, using their tombs, undisturbed by the world outside. From time to time, they may stray from their lair, but such excursions will usually be brief and will not cover a great distance. The Voran Thol seek seclusion in its lair, and a tomb where the days among the living came to lead such a lonesome and gruesome end. Despite their fearsome reputation, Voran Thol go to great lengths to conceal their lairs and close them off to the world of the living. They usually seek to reseal and reconceal their lairs in the event they are discovered by the living. Only when the lair of a Voran Thol has been discovered and violated does it begin to present a danger to the outside world. The danger will remain as long as the lair remains unsealed. The Voran Thol has not only the ability to control undead creatures, but also to raise the dead, and can raise any formerly living creature into its service. The real danger posed by a Voran Thol is that the undead the creature controls. The undead under the control of Voran Thol often wander great distances from the creature's lair. If the lair has been violated, and can obviously pose a serious threat to humans in the vicinity. A powerful aura of fear surrounds the Voran Thol, an aura powerful enough to shake the spirit of even the most stalwart. That's what we were feeling. Indeed, there was a few among the living who would dare brave an encounter with Voran Thol in its lair. Voran Thol are immune to all normal weapons, and all weapon is required to damage this creature. It should also be noted that shadow paths that bore the Voran Thol's passage back to Sryth from Navernus remain open in the lair. An open shadow path in the lair of Voran Thol is very dangerous, for it allows Voran Thol to summon undead from the depths of Navernus to do its bidding. It is assumed that Voran Thol themselves will pass back and forth through the shadow path at will. Destroying Voran Thol will close any shadow paths that exist. Okay. It's unlikely that more than one of the powerful undead will ever be discovered inhabiting the same lair. Voran Thol seeks to dominate and control lesser undead beings, and at no time will its wicked spirit summon the will of another. There have been many tales and legends throughout the ages of brave adventurers who have stumbled upon hidden Voran Thol Thane, Voron Thane tombs and discovered the lair of Voron Thule. Some of these tell tales of unearthly treasures contained in the tomb, perhaps things brought forth from infinite Neverall realms by the Voron Thule and his minions. It is also widely assumed that many of the adventurers and others who have happened upon the lair of the Voron Thule quickly saw an end to their days among the living. Less than scrupulous mages are often interested in learning about the location of a suspected Voron Thule lair for the simple reason they may contain one or more active shadow paths. Well, we know about shadow paths already. A chill runs the length of your spine when you realize the stone steps at the bottom of the grave, likely the very entrance to the lair of the undead horror. It would appear that whoever was robbing the grave up there stumbled upon the lair of the Voron Thule, says Thane Pyrod, handing the black coal back to you. The expression on his face and the tone of his voice equally grave. This now becomes most serious, indeed a matter far more pressing than the exploits of a few highwaymen are now laid before us. The Thane says that he is most troubled by your account of the undead already moving about Stoneback Hill. In a grim tone, he announces that the issues of Voron Thule is not one that can wait. This threat must be dealt with swiftly and quietly, he says. Trungar nods stoically in agreement. You all agree that if it is indeed a Voron Thule that lurks atop Stoneback Hill, it is likely that after 3 centuries of mystery, the disappearance of the monk Stoneback Monastery lacks an explanation. It would seem that the monk of Stoneback Monastery may have been the first to unwittingly unearth the ancient Voron tomb as they dug graves atop the hill, said Thane Pirate. It is of little consequence now, though, for it is upon our watch that we are put to it to have the matter settled once for all. So 24 monks died and you want little old me to go? I'm probably going to end this before I do this, but we'll finish this till it's time to go. Thane Pyrod placed a hand on your shoulder and asked a question you've been anticipating. He asked if you were up to the task of returning to Stoneback Hill and dealing with the menace of the Voron Thule. There are few who I would trust with so delicate and important a mission as this, he says. You, Allison, have been known to me for some time, and I do not feel that I could find a more worthy and courageous soul within the walls of this great city. Both Thane Pyrod and Trungar seem to eagerly await your response. Your curtain now directed the Thane and exceptional task appears to come at a profound relief to both men. Thane Pyrod smiles as he meets you in the shoulder calls following your acceptance of the mission. Trungar praises your courage and offers to help see that you are properly outfitted for the task. You follow Trungar to the lower levels of Sryth Keep, where he takes you to a series of rooms stocked with a vast array of weapons and armor. The equipment used to outfit the Thane's armed force has traveled the streets of Sryth. They patrol the streets. Trungar speaks privately with a few of his tenants in the room, and several special items are brought forth and offered to you. Take a look over the items, and you may take any of them listed. Well, I could probably use some better shoes and stuff. I have a bracelet. Okay, it doesn't do anything. It's just a bracelet. Like black stem in the chain. That's not gonna be good. Okay, what's the black pearl thing do? Okay, we don't want to put any of that stuff on in. So I can use better gloves. What's this one? This is +3 stamina. So what's the chainmail skirt? I didn't mean to take it, I meant to check it out. Okay, this is +4, so that's better. Okay, let's put on the chain boots. Let's put on the chainmail shirt, is better. Okay, what shoes do I have on? Face. I have chain boots on already. And they're well crafted, so they're better than this. What are chain gauntlets? Okay. It's for hands, and it's +2 stamina. What do I have on my hands? +3. The scroll on this is too sensitive. That's +2. That's +7. Okay. Okay, so far this is best. Ring gauntlets, that's +6. Hide gauntlets, that's +1. So flint gauntlets are best, and they're better than these chain gauntlets, which is only 2. Okay, so we're good there. I have on my head. Got my red moss cap, which is probably gonna be much better than any helm. Alright. Sleeves are for arms. The leather one, this is +1. And the bandit one is +4. Wow, I should check this stuff more often. What's the chain one? No, +4, so better than this. Alright, leggings. Leggings. Okay, I just have leather greaves on right now, which is +1. So what those chain leggings get for me? +3. My leather leggings is +1. Okay, well, we'll take the lantern, we'll take the rope. What's a studded buckler? It's a shield. I think I'm good on this because my shield's awesome. I only have a small shield. Okay, I thought I had something else. That's melee +1. So this is definitely gonna be better. Okay. Studded buckler. Small shield is +1. Studded buckler is +1. So it's not better. How rude. Alright, we're good. As you walk back to the Thane's chamber with Trungar, he recounts you several of his past exploits with fearsome creatures. However, he's quick to admit that although he's an accomplished warrior, he's never been particularly fond of dealing with the undead. And this Vorenthal, he says, slowly shaking his head, is truly a creature of the darkness. Nothing but malice and hatred seeps forth from its black soul. A less stalwart person than yourself, Alistair, would no doubt be low to the prospect of encountering such a foe. As you approach Thane's chamber, you notice the first time that Trungar walks with a noticeable limp. He catches sight of your interest and laughs as he slapped his left thigh. There were 4 forest trolls that afternoon, Allison, he said, smirking. They got the better of me for a moment or two, but I was able to square up with him. The old wound acts up now and then. You follow Trungar as he steps into the Thane's chamber. You spend the next 2 hours with Thane and Trungar going over the details of your impending mission. Trungar seems to have a wealth of knowledge concerning Vorenthal, and you wisely glean as much information you can from him. You learn that Vorenthal are immune to ordinary weapon, magic, or weapons imbued with such be only means you have to hurt this creature, warned Trungar. An army of 1,000 blades would perish against it, lest one of the blades bear enchantment. You suddenly take comfort knowing that your arsenal of weapons includes 2 magic weapons, Famous Fury and Goblin Doom. Suddenly, I got a magic weapon. A young lad clad in a purple tunic in front of which embroidered the mark of Thane arrives in the chamber and hands Thane pirate a long item covered with red cloth. The lad bows deeply in Thane before leaving the chamber. You are somewhat surprised that Thane hands the cloth covered item to you. You find more use for that than I ever shall, he said, and you take up some hold of something very heavy hidden underneath the red cloth. Black steel axe. It's magic. You pull away the cloth to reveal a black, short-handled, single-bladed axe. For the size of the axe feels unusually weighty, but the grip of the weapon is close. But you grip the axe and close to him, there's little doubt that it is a magnificent weapon. The axe is a solid piece of forged blackened steel with a small but almost impossible sharp blade protruding from its head. The haft of the splendid weapon is covered with the hundreds of likeness of snakes, and skulls are carved in the black steel. Thane Pirate tells you that the axe is something he acquired several years ago in exchange for his service as a warrior. A sage will show me the axe was imbued with power to defeat the undead. You may have it, Allison, and I hope that it serves you well. I would think you may need it before long. I mean, it's only +4. It doesn't even have anything special against undead. Like Goblin Doom has extra against goblins, yeah. And it's +10. It goes to the details of your mission and final time with Thane and Trungar. You are to return to the summon of Stoneback Hill, instantly at the Voronthal and defeat the undead horror and its minions. The plan is simple, although you cannot help but think that the execution will prove to be anything but. It is agreed that you set out for Stoneback Hill at dusk and into the forest under the cover of night. When your movements are less likely to attract your undesired attention, you will then wait until the light of dawn before you climb the summit and seek out the lair of Voronthal. Both Thane Pyrod and Trungar seem keen on keeping your movements around Stoneback Hill a well-guarded secret. At last you prepare to take leave of the Thane and Trungar, but before you depart, Thane Pyrod says a brief prayer and commends you for accepting such a dangerous mission. May the All Father protect you and bring you back to us in victory and safety, he says. Trungar follows you out of the Thane's chamber and wishes you luck on your mission. He moves a small object from his pocket and places it in your hand. You're brave indeed, he says. But I know that you'll need more than courage to face a creature like Voronthal. This amulet is supposed to offer protection from the undead. I've always kept it near just in case, but I dare say you will have greater need for it. Besides, I have another just like. Go safely, and good luck, Allison. It might come in handy as well. Yay, Quebec leaves. Now we're talking. Yes, can I? Seriously? They just make me go right to the forest, huh? You return to Stoneback Hill proceeds without incident, and the dust turns to darkness. So you slip into the forest at the base of the hill and begin to search for a place to settle down until dawn. After brief scouting in a nearby area, you decide to spend the night amidst a cluster of large rocks not far from the wall that is supposed surrounds the base of the hill. The night passes without incident, although your dreams are filled with strange, haunting images that more than once cause you to wake with start. In such dream, you find yourself moving along a narrow stone corridor surrounded on all sides with the fleshless arms of the dead that reach through the walls, floors, and ceiling to grope you. At the first light of dawn filters down from the tree limbs overhead. You groggily rise and prepare to make you what you hope will be your final descent to Stoneback Hill. Climb the summit takes a little more than 2 hours, and although you do not encounter anything during your ascent, your mind is plagued by a growing sense of dread. This feeling becomes even more pronounced as you step into the summit of the hill and reach the edge of the ancient graveyard. At a thick early morning mist is just beginning to lift off the top of the hill, and the heavy vapor drifts amongst the trees and crumbling monuments of the cemetery paint an eerie and almost surreal scene as it slowly departs. You move cautiously into the foggy, overgrown cemetery and make your way toward the area of the open grave. Your trek ends when you find yourself standing on the edge of an open grave that leads down to a set of stone steps descending into the shadow. You're standing in the edge of the open grave, at the bottom of which a set of narrow stone steps descend into the darkness, and cool breeze passes the graveyard, sending a chill the length of your spine and renewing the nagging dread that permeates your thoughts. A foul odor rises from below, strong enough to make you almost wretched. There's no mistaking the overwhelming smell assails your senses in the stench of the death and decay. You spend some time resting and recovering a short distance away from the open grave. Oh, we're there. Alright. Well, I will have to start a new episode to do this. I didn't know it would take this long. Hey, I'm at rank 108. Cool. So we'll be back to continue this quest. Probably I'm gonna do it later today. I have to work now, unfortunately. So thanks so much for joining me. You know what I'm gonna say. Peace. Peace.